Hi, I'm Mac McCarthy, and I help people with their breakups, situationships, and relationships. Let's get into it today. What's the alternative to no contact? This is actually a really good question to ask yourself rather than does no contact work, which is the most common question because people go, this hurts, I don't like it, it's uncomfortable. Can't I just call them, send a letter, email, text? Can't I do something? Because what it feels like when you're doing no contact is, well, I'm not doing enough, right? I'm really not doing enough here because there's got to be something I can do that's tangible, that's work, that's difficult. I'm willing to do it. The reality is no contact is work. It just tricks you into believing that you're not doing enough. So what's the alternatives? Make a list. This is a really good idea because a lot of times you don't want to stick with no contact because quote unquote it's not working and there's no finish line, right? This is why people love school. Why do you love school so much? There's a schedule, there's a finish line, you get graded, there's someone telling you if you're doing good work or bad work. There's all these things along the way that reinforce school, right? And then there's this grand finish line where you're like, all right, if you stick with it for 4 years, we'll give you this degree and everyone will recognize you as finishing these courses, this certification. So keeping someone in school, which is boring or uncomfortable or something they don't like, it has these finish lines. Where no contact, it's like, when's it going to work? In 1 month, 2 months, 3 months? And then people get really fucking frustrated. The reality is that it's just work for you to go in two different directions. And really, it's when negotiations are off, the person's broken up with you, you said everything you needed to say, you both cried, you both yelled, you both been angry, and it's time to sit in it. And really for both of you to sit in it, to sit in the idea that we're done right now, things aren't working out, and we got to try something else, like being single. The minute you call up, it changes the whole game. So let's look at alternatives to no contact. And these are things that people really do, by the way. So if you're like, oh, who would do that? Right? Who would do that? Number one, call them and beg. A lot of people do this, right? I'll call them and beg them. See how that goes. There's certain people that have a lot of pity in their heart, and they might take you back like they would a abandoned dog at a shelter or something like that. But they won't respect you more or love you more. They'll just feel sorry for you more and have more pity, and that can get someone back sometimes. It really can, but it doesn't ever fix the problems, and you end up breaking up again. Number two, text them that you can't live without them. So this is another one that's pity, but it's a common theme. I can't live without you. It's extreme, right? It's extreme. So going to an extreme message via text, could it get them at the right time in the right moment with loneliness sprinkled in? Maybe they just lost their job. Maybe they have a loss in their life, and maybe they take you back, but you'll break up again, probably, because you didn't fix whatever problems you had. Number three, call their friends and family. This is a big one. So it's, if I can't contact them, maybe I can get a hold of their best friend, their parents, because they know best and they'll get through to them. It's not a good move because a lot of times people don't want their dirty laundry aired out to their friends and family with your stamp on it. Because really what happened at the end of your breakup is you were agreeing to disagree when you broke up, and you were disagreeing a lot. And now you're going to their friends and family telling them about what you disagreed on, trying to sell them on it, to sell your ex on it. It's a mess. Don't do it. Number four, make passive aggressive posts on social media. This is one of my favorite. Well, I just posted something on their IG or their Snap, and I'm hoping that they notice it, and there's this hidden message involved in it, and they'll get it, but if they don't get it, I'm going to flip out. There's too many variables involved in this. And what you're doing is, with passive aggressive comments or posts, what you're doing is like, let me just put something out there that doesn't seem like I care, where I can still be cool, but at the same time, if it hits, then it works. And example of a passive aggressive comments, like they're smiling, they're at the beach, and it's like, looks like you're having so much fun. It's lame, right? What you're trying to do is make them feel guilty for posting something that looks like they're having a good time, but you have no idea. Number 5, stage a random encounter. A lot of people actually do this. Well, where can I run into them at? Well, she goes to the gym at 8. Maybe I can go there, but ignore her while I'm there. So you can stay in no contact while you're in person, but at the flip side, what happens is if they're with someone else or they ignore you, there's all kinds of things that can go wrong in a staged random encounter, right? And you have to check your intentions going into that. Bottom line is, though, I'm just telling you to make a list of what's the alternative to no contact. So when people are like, "Oh, it's so difficult." Oh, yeah. Look, write down some alternatives. There's not very good ones, are there? Main thing about no contact that it does really well, and I'm a big proponent of it, is once you break up, you keep your self-respect. Number 6, call them, hang up, but they know it's you. Back in the day, we used to call this crank calling. I don't know what you call it now, but a lot of people do it when they break up just to hear the other person's voice, or they don't know what to say. Don't do this. It's not going to help you. It's going to make things worse. Number 7, call, but don't say anything when they pick up. Same thing as when you hang up. Some people do this and they're like, "Oh, is it you, John? Oh, is it you, Maddie? Oh, is it you?" Right? This goes on and on and on so you can stay in their orbit. It doesn't work in any way of getting someone back. Number 8, you cry to them. Now, this one really works sometimes. An alternative to no contact. If you're a good crier, hysterical, snot coming out of your nose, tears draining out, and they just want to calm you down, and they're the type of because like crying to some people, it's a call of an emergency act, right? It's extreme emotion. So if you do this in lieu of no contact and you get a really good cry, they have a soft heart, a lot of compassion, they're an empathetic soul, they might take you back. How often can you cry? Right? Are you going to pull that out of your hat every time? So that's one of those things that actually does work once or twice. A good cry. Now, hopefully you're not staging this. The problem is in a month, 3 weeks, 2 weeks, when you're not crying anymore, reality sets back in. You get back into the same relationship you were in originally, right? The problems flush up to the top, and you're back at square one, minus the crying. Because you can't just crying doesn't fix problems. What you're saying is like, I'm so sad, I'm so lonely, I'm so upset, I can't live without you, I miss you so much. But are we fixing the issues here? No, this is just pure emotion right now. It works for a day, it works in the movies, not long term. 9, give them ultimatums. This is really popular. If you don't get back with me, I'll never talk to you again. I'll revenge you for the rest of my life. I'll take back the car payment for the last year. Whatever. Ultimatum, ultimatum. Ultimatums come up a lot. And the reason they come up a lot is because people have negotiations are off and they want to have a final answer. So with an ultimatum, what they're doing is they're saying, look, if I get this or you get this, I just want it to stop. So we have 2 different zones to go. Like you can stay with me or you can leave, but you're not keeping the car. See, that's a conditional ultimatum. If you break up with me, I'm not going to help you out financially anymore. Here's the thing about ultimatums. Most of the time they don't work. When they do, the other person gets resentment. They're upset that you have leverage over them. It's not really anything about love. It's usually material items that build up with ultimatums. And really, the person giving the ultimatum is tired. They're tired of negotiating. They're tired of the same things happening. So in reality, what they do is they drop, bam, you need to make a decision right now. I'll break up with you tomorrow if you don't stop going out till midnight on Saturday nights. I'll break up with you, I swear. Can it work? Sometimes, but it doesn't fix the problem because they still want to go out on Saturday. Tommy Boy, as in Tommy Boy, the movie. Great movie. Hi, does no contact also have an effect in platonic friendships with the opposite sex? Or is it more effective in only romantic relationships? Great question, Tommy Boy. So first and foremost, this is what I would say. What's the problem? What's the debate? What's the argument? So you have a problem with your friend, right? And why are you going into no contact with your friend? What's the thing? So a lot of times in breakups, you're going into no contact because, ready for it? It hurts you to interact with that person. When you interact with them, you're on different wavelengths. You want something different than they do, and you just keep hitting a brick wall. So negotiations are off. If your current friend, what would you want from the no contact, Tommy boy? You just want to move on. They're a bad influence on you. You're the average of your 5 best friends. And so a lot of people actually do this with friends. It's just with friends when there's not a romantic, intimate relationship, it's different. And you don't live together, you just don't spend that much time together. But there's plenty of times where people just write off friends, right? Because they did something bad to them, they hurt them. And how they reacted afterwards has a lot to do with it. Sometimes people with friends, they can just come and go. And you learn a lot about people and how they treat their friends and how they talk about their friends. So, what's the worst case scenario? Let's talk about that for a minute. If you're in no contact and you want to break no contact, what's the worst case scenario? What's the worst case scenario? That's what you have to go on. All right, I'm going to call them up. I just have a plan to just ask how she's been doing and that I miss her. Okay. So your intention going in, hey, I'm just checking in. It's been 3 weeks. I just want to know she's okay. She's been through a lot this month. Her dog died. Her mom passed away. She hasn't been able to pay the rent when we broke up. Whatever it is, you want to check in, and your heart's in the right place. But she broke up with you, even though she's going through all those hard times. So you call up. You're like, "Hey, Sally, how you doing? How you been?" Or you text, which a lot of people probably do more. And she immediately is like, "I don't want to talk to you. I told you before we're broken up, and I'm seeing someone else." That's a worst case scenario, right? Now that's something that people think, well, I don't know what's gonna happen. Now there's positive people that are like, "Oh, I don't even see worst case scenario." They just go into, if I call them, maybe we'll get back together. That's short-sighted, right? Because the reality, you gotta realize when you're in no contact that they can be negative when you call them up, and it could make you feel worse. Now, here's the thing. If you are gonna break no contact and you do talk to them, and it is negative and it does hurt you, then you just go back into no contact and you're double stamped of why you're in no contact. Here's the shitty part. It fucking hurts because it's not only rejection, it's rejection layered with 3 weeks of hurt, of hoping and wishing that they call you, and now you've been rejected again. Now, if you can handle that, go for it. If you're like, you know what, I can handle that. At least you prepare yourself for that and you're not surprised by it. And then there on the flip side, if you do a 3-week, 4-week check-in, there's a possibility like, "Oh my god, I missed you so much. How have you been? I've been wanting to call you too." That's a possibility. It's just not a guarantee, which are 2 different things, right? All right, in a moment, I'll get to some Reddit posts. The reason I've been doing some of these Reddit posts recently is they have a lot of situations within relationships that lead to breakups, that lead to the no contact. And so when you look at your um, problems, you look at your relationships, they start out with these small problems that are seeds that grow into plants of resentment. Okay. So you're thinking, I'm in a breakup. Now I need advice. But really, these little problems that come up in this relationship advice uh, segment of Reddit's really good because they're all the small problems. And this is what I talk about a lot. How do you get out in front of these problems? Or identify them as problems that don't need to be fixed. If you leave them alone, though, this is what gets you in the place where 2, 3 years down the road, you're like, we hate each other, we don't go out as much, we're not intimate as much because you just stacked a bunch of problems. Tommy Boy says her friend started talking around that we have something Her best friend then go against me. We hang out too much. Jealous, don't know. Then she just cut me off, ghosting, and last she need time. Well, it sounds like she's a friend, but you sound like you might have some feelings for her. Her best friend then go against me. So this, I mean, how old? Bottom line is when you're dealing with friends, you can use no contact. If you have multiple friends in a school or work atmosphere, it's going to be hard to cut them off if you have mutual friends. That being said, whenever you do no contact friends, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, be clear on why you're doing it. And then also, how can you put it into place? Like there is certain situations, like when you work together or you go to university together, where it's going to be harder to implement, right? If you both work in the same office and have a cubicle next to each other, it's going to be really difficult. So you're going to have to give yourself permission to make eye contact or to talk about work. There's got to be some nuance to the rule. Yeah. All right, let me get into the Reddit in a moment. We got 4 on deck. If anyone has any question about their relationship situationship, go ahead and throw it in the chat. We also have the option I can invite you on, which is really nice with StreamYard's platform. There's a link there. And we could do audio only about your question. All right, so Friends. How many of us have them? Great song. All right, so let me get into this. 5 on deck. And like I said, if you're in a no contact situation, you got a quick question, throw it in there. If you want to come on the live stream and ask a question, that's the link. You don't have to show your face if you don't want to show your face. If you don't care, that's fine too. But we can get into it. Tommy boy, I just want to know your age. This would be 18 and over with these. Her friend started her talking around me. We have something, her best friend, then to go against me. We hang out too much. Sounds like a lot of drama for friends. Sounds juvenile. Okay, let's see here. Let's check these out real quick. So this is a good one. This is a great question. Okay, these are the kind of questions that come up that lead to bad breakups. Let me just answer Tommy Boy real quick. No embarrassing. We are old. 44 and 50. That is kind of ridiculous. But I mean, by the way you wrote it, and I'm not the grammar police. Yeah, it sounds young. That's kind of ridiculous. Like in school, we do sports together, cycling a lot, 3 times a week. So, I mean, what's your point of wanting to go into no contact with this friend? Because they're talking around, they started gossiping. Do you think that she likes you? What is her intention of gossiping behind you? Is she jealous of what? And do you have other friends that you could ride with? If you have, this is a really simplistic way to do it. Okay, this is a really simplistic way to deal with things. When you interact with this friend, female or not female, whatever it is, and you step back from your interactions, right? You get home and you're done cycling, you're done hanging out. You with me? You're taking a shower, I hope, getting some water, whatever. When you think back of hanging out with that person, are you like, wow, that was nice, or that was neutral, or do you feel bad? Do you feel layers of like, why did they say that to me? I think they're talking behind my back, right? Do an assessment. So, for example, if you go cycling, right? Miguel, I'll get to your comment in a minute. If you go cycling and you have a great day, the sun's out, everything went right, you get home, you're like, I'm in a fucking good mood, right? I'm money. I feel great. That's why you go cycling, right? Maybe you're trying to lose weight, whatever, but you go there because you get a good feeling from it. You feel solid about it. Worst case scenario, you feel neutral. You wouldn't go cycling if you feel bad about it, right? Or there's some kind of consequence. Now, when you have a friend and they're gossiping or they're jealous about you, and then you get out of those interactions and you feel distraught or upset or angry. Maybe you need to confront them. Maybe you need to confront your feelings. But if this is a habitual thing or a regular thing, you're picking up a vibe from that person. And that's when you got to honor that and go, you know what? Number one, why am I entangled in this? Because a superpower is to never be offended by people. I've yet to master it, but I've gotten pretty damn close. But if you think about it, when someone offends you, that's an opportunity to go, why am I so offended? Number two, um, what can I do about it? Number three, do I need this person in my life? Are they significant? Are they bringing value, or am I bringing value to them? And are our interactions good to okay? When you get into these interactions, when you lead and you're like, I just feel really shitty and I can't stop thinking about it. It could be your insecurity, but it also could just be you guys aren't good friends. And in that case, you don't need to go non-contact. You just need to go say la vie. She just blocked me on Strava, but not my phone number. We have been friends 2 years. She also quasi me talking behind her back with her other friend. Yes, you are totally right. How did I get into this? Well, like I said, you want to talk about it a little deeper. You can use that link and call in. Bro, can we meet again? I'm super stressed. Miguel, you can always book an appointment. It's about school, not X or girls, which is good. So let's just go ahead and put in the chat, like, if you're comfortable, what's the problem? No problem, Tommy boy. Where are you at in the world out of curiosity? That you like going cycling with the RS3 logo. Is that a Civic? All right, let me get into, and just go by that, Tommy. This friend of 2 years, is this someone I need in some way? Is this someone that or you can also look at it like this with a friend. I'll just take a break for the next maybe couple months. I'll just go cycling with someone else, right? It's because there are people out there that are your friends that are manipulative, that are in bad places in their life as individuals, and they want to bring you back in. I've said this before. They want to bring you into the dungeon to play. I got this flyaway here, and they want to bring you in the dungeon, right? Like their life sucks or they're not happy and they want you to be the same. People want you to feel what they feel. Always remember that. And so if you start to say like, oh, every time I'm around Rhonda, after I get home, I'm just in a bad mood or I feel bad about myself. Take some inventory on that and honor it. All right. Let's check this out. So let's get into this. And like I said, these are good problems to look at. So I am on the fence about leaving my boyfriend over the way his brother, 26, and I'm going to assume sibling, 20-year-old female treat me. His solution is to move away. I don't really know where to post this or talk about it, but my boyfriend has a brother who's a year older than me. Just check this. Let me just get into this. This is a good example. We started dating about a year after I had ended a 6-year relationship with my high school sweetheart, who happened to be one of his best friends in high school. That's awkward. You had a 6-year relationship with your now boyfriend's best friend. That's tough, but that's besides the point. His brother, 26, had always been skeptical of me and talked down on me before we even met me because of my looks. I'm 24-year-old female, bigger, but I never thought I was ugly. Well, your assessment counts the most to yourself, hon. Just remember, everyone's got an opinion, and a good example of that I mention a lot of times is music. Everyone thinks that their song or their choice of music is the number one in the world, that this is the best artist, and it's just an opinion. There's opinions for everyone. But he will call me a fat, greasy pig and a ton of swear words. That's unacceptable. And my boyfriend doesn't defend me to him. That's unacceptable. So that right there, let's just talk about that for a moment. If you let something like that go in a relationship, you're going to become someone that believes it to be true. That's just how it works. So you don't need to fight back. You just need to you just don't need to hang out with that person anymore. If your boyfriend doesn't defend you or at least keep you out of those situations, it's not a good boyfriend. And in this situation, you'll start to believe it's true. I'll get to your question in a moment, Tommy. He says he does. Okay, sorry. Now, recently we had a miscarriage, and his brother thinks the entire situation was fabricated. That entire situation was made up by his brother's wife, who's 20 years old. But she's a story for another day. We had chosen to keep our sonograms and medical private to stay intimate with each other and enjoy the pregnancy as partners. But since we didn't plaster it on social media, we are in the wrong, I guess. No, you're not in the wrong. That's actually a really good way to go. So you don't answer to other people's morals and values, okay? You create your own right and wrong. So currently I'm grieving the loss of my first and only child. I'm sorry to hear that. All whilst being attacked by my boyfriend's family. My boyfriend's solutions to this, stay with me on this, folks. My boyfriend's solution to this is he is asking me to move 10 plus hours away from not only his family, but mine. We start over somewhere, just the two of us. I don't know if I can because of the way he doesn't defend me and lets me talk about me. I just need an outsider's opinion. Who is it going to be? Who isn't going to be biased? Should I leave him or should I move with him? All right, great. This is a great question. We've been together about 11 months. So a bunch of people are going to say just leave. He's not depending you now. He never will. He needs to be there to support you. Bottom line is this is an option. Okay. So the idea that, oh, I would never do that. He's providing an option. I don't know his relationship with his brother. I don't think it's cool. I don't think it's okay that he doesn't offend her. The fact that he loves her for who she is, he overlooked the fact that she used to hook up with his best friend for 6 years. That's pretty tough to do. He's been through your miscarriage with you and been supportive in that way. So if the only problem is the brother, moving away might not be a bad thing. Not just because of the brother. Now, here's the thing. This would be one of those situations where hopefully you'd kill two birds with one stone, if anyone even still says that. What do I mean by that? You should be moving somewhere you're excited to move for a new beginning that has good, I don't know, job prospects. It wouldn't just be moving just to get away from that brother, but that would be a major bonus or plus. You see how that works? And really, the cheat code to getting out of a breakup or getting out of bad friends is to move. It's just not for everyone. And you wouldn't want to do it just for that reason. You'd also want to go somewhere that you want to live. So I actually think it's a good alternative. If you've been in this relationship 11 months and he's been really good to you and it's only the brother and sister-in-law getting along and the place you want to move to excites you, then I say go for it. I say go for it. Tommy boy, I have a lot of male friends and she always rides with us, but that was my friend. She's really good. We are talking, we do 120, 150 kilometers on the road. So she's too good for other girls on the bike. I also do bike service. So I fixed her road bike, did upgrades, did it all for free. She doesn't have a lot of friends for a bike. I also did some nice photos and videos on the bike for her Instagram. I mean, what's your incentive? So what do you want from that relationship? You just want to be a good friend? Unknown. What makes you qualified to stream about relationship matters? I mean, you could advise people wrongly. Okay, coming from the unknown. What makes you qualified to stream about relationship matters? I've been doing this for 6 years. If you don't like my advice, you don't have to take it. It's totally fine. Most advice is opinion based, but here's what I would challenge you to. Is there any advice that's 100% correct? Is there any advice that's 100% correct? Even that from a doctor. And how would my advice be wrong? And if you'd like to come on and debate about it, we can talk about it. She's kind of addicted to SoCal's posting all the time. Now she doesn't have my professional photography skills, so I see she doesn't post so much. I don't get what the addiction is from. Can you elaborate on that, Tommy, a little bit? Let's go here. Good silent treatment here. Sabina's on deck. How you doing, Sabina? Well, I hope. Unknown, you are new, right? I knew Sabina would get on deck with that. Thank you, Sabina. Addictions to Instagram and Strava. She has to post there all the time. You know, like self-promotion. Other girls don't like that when we did that, as she looks really nice on the photos. I mean, what's your Tommy boy? Just get down to the issue. Like, what's your issue with the individual? And if she's a friend and she's affecting your livelihood or your mood, and you guys just don't get along, do you need her around? Why are you making such an effort? Do you have a crush on her? Is there a hidden agenda? Like I said, if you want to pop on a call right now with that link and talk about it a little bit, we can get a little deeper on it. I mean, here's the interesting thing as an example. Sometimes people, and I'm not talking specifically about you, they complain about a relationship, and it could be a friendship, right? Myself included, right? So you can complain about this friendship you have, this friend, but really, what's your secondary gain? Okay, so this is a good way to look at it. If you have a secondary gain, such as, I don't know, I really like bike riding with her and she's beautiful. I do kind of have a crush on her. So that's why you're trading off with the idea of sometimes she gossips, sometimes she's a social media um, addict or whatever you want to call it. So you're hanging out with her, you're having these issues with her, but which one wins? You're trading off. And the problem that happens a lot of times is just it's not a congruent thing, it's an off and on. And so you need to decide, is it enough positive to outweigh the negative? Is the trade-off high enough? Or is it just one of those situations where you're treading water in this relationship? If so, cut the cord. So this is a good question. My husband gives me silent treatment when we argue. How do I get over it? This is a great question. Hold on a second. Let me make this a little bigger. Whenever we get into an argument or unable to find ways to solve our problems, my husband then gives me the silent treatment for a couple of days. Okay, this is a great question, right? This is one of those things. This has been happening regularly. Okay, so this has been happening regularly. So now it's been accepted. You didn't say, "Hey, you can't do this." You're saying that this is what he does regularly. The reason why human beings do something regularly, is because it works, right? They get a result that they like, or there is no consequence to it. When he's ready to talk, he apologizes and promises not to do it again. He also claims his brain kind of shut off whenever we're arguing, and that the time apart gives him time to reflect on his words and actions towards me, which makes him feel guilty afterwards. Um, However, I told him multiple times regarding this. He doesn't understand how this silent treatment has an effect on my mental health, as I feel like my feelings don't matter and that I should just accept his apologies after a few days. Okay, so bottom line is, number one, the way you're framing it, it's silent treatment. He's saying that he needs to think about things. The idea that it's 2 days, I think, is too long. So if you could meet halfway on the bridge possibly and say, "All right, I realize that you react to things in a certain way, you need time to reflect." The result of this doesn't sound all that bad because at some point he's apologizing or coming to his senses, right? On some things. The part that's bothering you probably more than anything is the fact that it's 2 days rather than 2 hours. So is it possible when one of these things happens that he goes, "All right, I just need a few hours," or "We can talk about this later tonight." In other words, the silent treatment or the time to reflect, which is the same thing with a different perspective, right? It just needs to be knocked down from 2 days to 2 hours or 3 hours. I told him multiple times where he doesn't understand how this silent treatment has an effect on my mental health, as I feel like my feelings don't matter and that I should just accept his apologies after a few days. Why should I? When he doesn't acknowledge my existence, pretending not to hear me or even try to avoid my accidental touches as if I am a disgusting person during the days he gives me the cold shoulder. So what someone does, right? Let's talk about this for a minute. If someone goes silent treatment or ignores you and you react in a way where you're trying to get his attention or you let go of the argument. Because, all right, so let's just say you're arguing that he came home late one night, right? He was out with his buddies. He was watching a ball game. He had too many drinks. He took an Uber home and he came home at midnight. You were questioning him. You're upset. You say something upsetting to him. He doesn't talk to you for 2 days. I'm just giving you a random example. What he creates with that no contact, if you will, with that silent treatment is he's now getting your attention. He's changing the game. So he's no longer someone that is interacting or negotiating about the subject. What he's doing is he's saying, "I'm not going to talk to you anymore." So now it's changed over that day or 2 days from you just wanting to talk again, from you wanting to get upset with him. So he's using it as a tactic, a strategy that works to actually get your attention and get your attention away from the original problem. Does that make sense? I want to ask anyone out there with experience regarding this matter to help me figure out how to not break my heart every single time he does this because his behavior happens once a month, perhaps once every 2 months. It's just slowly making me second guess our whole relationship, despite us being very compatible, supporting couples. So that last paragraph that you just said, I would say share that with him. If you don't want to say it's a Reddit post, that's fine. Share that with him. Say, "Look, I'm thinking about this." On the flip side, if he's reflecting and he's sorry afterwards, can we cut this down to 2 or 3 hours and maybe throw in something for him when he loses it or he shuts down that he can do? So one thing that I would recommend right away would be a few different things actually. Just to change. What happens is when someone gets stuck in a zone for 2 days. So for example, if the opposite of someone going into silent treatment, right? Someone goes into silent treatment, they're in a trance. They're in a zone. I'm not going to interact with this person. I'm going to leave them alone. The opposite would be if someone just kept talking about the same subject again. Even though I was out Friday night till midnight, remember when you texted that guy when we were first together and they keep bringing that up in the argument? That's another trance state because they're just stuck on one thing. So what do you do when you want to break a trance or a revolving wheel that keeps going over the same shit again? There's certain things you can do. Cold shower, tapping, which is I'll be making a video on that soon. Going for a walk, hard physical exercise. What that does, bilateral beats, it changes you out of that trance state. Breathing techniques, so that hurt that he feels or that argument where he knows he's wrong, he doesn't know how to respond because he doesn't want to lose, which is a possibility. He can get out of that anxiety and get out of that emotion that he's in. It's like a cold shower, right? Does it change your life? Does it change all your perspectives? No, but in the moment, it'll break a trance, right? When I was a little kid, um, my mom would always, if I was in a bad mood or I was being a little brat or something like that, which wasn't often, she'd go, "Don't smile. Don't smile." When you're upset or you're angry, you're like, "What?" And maybe this wouldn't work for everyone, but it gets in your mind like, by smiling, you're telling your brain you're happy. That's psychology 101. Even if you do that when you're really upset, you can't be as upset. So what he needs to figure out is when he gets to this point, because right now what he does is, hey, we have a problem. This has worked for me before. I go into 2 days of no contact silent treatment. And then I figure it out and I say sorry, but in that time I don't lose or I don't give in. He probably learned that from doing that as a teenager or his prior relationship to you. And like I said, it works. There's no consequences. What you need to do now is go, look, this isn't working for me. I don't mind that you go silent, but not for 2 days. How about you try taking a cold shower or going for a walk? How about we try something to deal with it? And what's happened? And then ask him some questions. Seek to understand, not to be understood. For example, ask him, why do you do that? When was the first time you did that? Were you doing that when you were a teenager? Or is your mom used to do that to your dad? I'm okay if you're angry or upset. I'm okay with arguing. I don't want 2 days of silent treatment. And I'm okay with 2 hours of silent treatment. There's another alternative. He doesn't like to talk. He doesn't like the tone or the emotion. I've talked about this before, and people do it sometimes. If someone can't help but get angry or worked up during an argument, another alternative is to do in-person texting. You're like, what? What do you mean? You literally sit next to each other and you text and show each other the text. What does this do? It eliminates tone, raising your voice. It also makes you use another part of your brain while you're putting out your message. You speak a lot faster than you type sometimes. I guess there's some people out there that type pretty fast, but you're kind of thinking a little bit more rather than impulsively talking. So my point is there's some alternative things you could do with this, because you're not going to get rid of the fact that you're going to have arguments or fights or the fact that he just wants to reflect. It's the time amount that's bothering you more than anything. Great question. Perhaps unknown wants to throw in their take. Let's see here. This is a great question too. I feel like my partner, let's see here. I feel like my partner doesn't care about me. Help. 20-year-old female with partner 22-year-old male. I've been together for 3 years and I feel like he doesn't know me. Well, whose fault is that? So if you've been together 3 years and he doesn't know you, that's a big blanket umbrella statement. That's pretty broad. You're creating a bigger situation than you need. I mean, in what way does he not know you? Would be a question to ask. Recently, I brought up the fact that we don't hang out unless I ask and plan everything out. Okay, so if you've been together 3 years, hold on a sec. Go to writemac.com if you want to book a session. He doesn't want to air it out, Sabina. That's fine. Or if you want to email me to book today, it's Coach. So if you want to book today, email me and we can get something on deck today, and I can just send you a PayPal invoice. If you don't find it useful and helpful, I'll give your money back. All right, so getting back to this. I feel like he doesn't know me. Recently, I've brought up the fact that we don't hang out unless I ask and plan everything out. So just for starters, if you've been together 3 years, that's probably something you've done from Jump Street. Probably means I don't know for sure, but from what I read. So early on in the relationship, maybe this was your pleasure to do so, or you just kind of took the horse by the reins, but you've been doing it for a long time. So you've conditioned him for the fact that you actually maybe like to do that, or that it's just the way the relationship's gone. Even when I asked him to plan a date, I basically end up planning everything. So my question would be, is when you plan everything, right? So for example, you're saying like, "Oh, I got to plan everything." See, this is another thing where you're not being detailed enough. What's everything? So what happened? Let me ask you an honest question too. Would be if we were doing a coaching call, what I would say is, hey, if you're planning everything all the time, does he ever try and then you don't like the plan and you knock it down? There's a lot of men, what they'll do is they'll be like, all right, I tried to set up a plan. Oh, I tried to meet up after work. Oh, I had this plan, but she told me she didn't like the plan and she just took over anyways. A lot of people that want other people to lead in relationships, they're either natural leaders, they like to do the planning, or they're perfectionists. And so what happens is when one person tries, they knock it down by saying, "Oh no, let's not do that." And the other person goes, "Fine, then you just make the plan." There's probably more to this than you think if it's been going on 3 years. No problem, Tommy boy. Um, we ended up talking and I found out that he doesn't even know the little things about me. He said that he wouldn't even know what a perfect date would look like from me, but I feel like I know all these for him. I know his favorite foods, places, and activities. Well, he said he doesn't even know if I like coffee, despite me having both a coffee maker and I don't even know what that is, a Keurig on the counter. How should I proceed? Well, number one, you've brought it to the surface. It sounds what you're doing is you're saying like you don't do this, you don't do that, you don't do this. So what's the solution? So you want him to get to know you more. Um, why don't you guys both write out 20 questions, right? That would be open-ended questions, things you might want to know about you. And for example, what would be something you've never told me before and that would really surprise me? Uh, what is one of your most embarrassing moments? Write out questions like that and then sit down and ask each other, whether it's at dinner or at your house. These things can be worked on that you're mentioning. The idea that you plan everything, basically say, all right, next date, I'm not going to say anything because I have a sneaking suspicion here that he's tried before and you didn't like when he tried, and now he just goes, screw it, I'm not going to try anymore. Getting to know each other. Some people are just quiet people too. I would need to know more about his personality. So what you need to always know is like, are you taking this personal and it's just his character? In other words, he's an introvert, he's not very outgoing, he's kind of quiet. Um, or is this something that you feel like he's doing purposely, which would be different, right? All right. This is a good question. Very good question. We got 7 on deck. You're more than welcome to ask any questions about your relationship, about your breakup situation, or anything else going on in your life that you want my take on. So, I'm going through some Reddit posts right now. And like I said earlier, these are really good because these are small situations, problems, or issues that lead to bad breakups or post breakup, like this case right here. This is a really good question. Um, let's make sure it's not too long because you guys don't like too long. The guy, 28-year-old male who shattered my heart last year, is now asking for legal advice. How should I respond? If he shattered your heart last year, I mean, before I even go into the details, I would just say, no, you just don't get involved. He probably doesn't know that he shattered your heart completely because he doesn't know how you felt. He's not in your body or feeling your feelings. He's not being very mindful. But at the same time, if you still got some wreckage on the road, the smoke hasn't been cleared, then just say, yeah, no, that's not going to work. You don't have to explain it. You don't have to be nice. The reason being is, how are you going to feel about doing this? I've been working in a law office for about 7 years, majored in legal studies in my undergrad, and I'm going to law school. Congratulations. I'm not a lawyer and do not practice yet. I never even give any kind of legal advice or insight to family or friends. Last year, I went through the most devastating heartbreak I've ever been through in my entire life by this guy. He was already talking about marriage at one point and then abruptly stopped talking to me and never reached out in the last year. So let's just read that one more time. Okay, just for context here. Let's get into this. That alone, you don't want to talk to this person again. I've been through my entire life. I've most devastating heartbreak I've ever been through in my entire life from this guy. So that's your perspective. He was already talking about marriage at one point and then abruptly stopped talking to me and never reached out in the last year. Now he's blowing up my phone to help him with a couple of his tickets. Well, I mean, it sounds like someone that's extremely selfish, someone that's attempting to use you. And this is where you need to stand up for yourself. Have some self-respect. Okay? Because you're not going to do this for any other reason than because you're scared to say no. You don't owe this individual anything. And if you have another interaction with him, most likely he's going to mislead you or manipulate you. First of all, I'm just really shocked that he's reaching out again. Even if I was licensed to practice law, something about this feels really icky, like he is using me. I'm really stunned at the audacity to do it. So this is great. If I was in a coaching session with this individual, we would air out where this is coming from. I would let them divulge their relationship, what they're still holding. But the bottom line is, if you're feeling icky from Jump Street right off the bat, then don't do it. You don't owe this individual any. The idea that you're shocked that this person has audacity to do what they're doing, that's just you saying, I would never do this to this person. I would never do that to another person. And this is what happens to individuals when they get really frustrated, is they go, oh my God, I can't believe they're doing this to me. I would never do that to them. They'll do it to you because they have different morals and values. Your power is this. And this is where you ask yourself, where's my power in this situation? Don't respond. Say good luck. Don't be nice about it. Don't interact. Just go, hey, I don't know a whole lot about that. I'm not a lawyer right now. And really, I don't really want to talk to you. And block them. There's no reason to interact with this. And next, how in the world am I supposed to deal with the fact that this guy was everything to me, and to him, I'm just someone he can go get legal advice? It makes me feel so cheap and used. All right, so here's the thing. That's a perspective, okay? So you have a perspective like he makes me feel so cheap and used. Makes me wonder if I was delusional that the whole relationship and all he saw in me was someone he could go for legal help in the future. Well, here's the thing. That's a nice story and narrative that you got there, but it's a story. It's fictional. It's not true. And I don't think this guy would think that far ahead. Go, hey, when we break up, I'll get some legal help from you. This guy's doing is like, what's best for me? What's best for me? What's best for me? He's already proven to you that he's not committed to telling the truth or carrying out a long-term relationship with you. Unfortunately, you got really hurt. The idea that he makes you feel so cheap and used is something that's a costume that you're choosing to put on. The reality is you have a lot of power here in this situation to go, hey, I'm not helping you with this. Good luck. Cut him off now. Okay. And from the outside, a lot of people are, why would you even talk to him? You obviously still have feelings for him. You're still upset. You're still dealing with that. But you have complete power here to not feel used or anything like that and just go straight to the point of, where's my power? No, I'm not going to help you. Bye. Let's see for breakups. Three years ago. Do exes, the dumper, come back after 6 months of no contact since breakup? No, there's no definitive thing that ever says anyone's gonna come back after. So this is a question that comes up a lot. Let me pull this up. Anyone in the chat, you got a question or comment, throw it in there and I'll get to it. If you guys want to come on live and call in just like a radio show would, that's available also. So if you're bold and you want to get in on this, good for you. If you don't, keep listening. So this is a question that comes up a lot. Do exes come back after 6 months of no contact since a breakup? So this is one of those questions. Well, do they? Even if you answered, yeah, they do, which if you had 10 million people go no contact, of course, some of them do come back and some of them don't within that 6 months. You're really grasping for straws here, right? And you're looking to find an answer to what you want an answer to. I got dumped 6 months ago and I straight away applied no contact. It was a 4.5-year relationship. I was blocked on the day we broke up. I believe and have lost all hope of her contacting me again. However, there has been cases of an ex coming back after a long period of time of breaking up. Curious to know. Well, here's the thing. The devil's in the details. So we would have to know what happened in your relationship. I'm working on a survey right now that has 20 questions that if you're in no contact, that can give you a little bit of insight on the fact that what are my chances? Now, whenever you do a survey or anything, like how accurate is this? It's more accurate than you think, in the sense that right now you're just going on posting it on Reddit for random replies, right? The questions that I've come up with, such as, was there attraction still? Was there still intimacy? Did you trust the individual? These are all questions that go into the ingredients of if they're going to come back. Also, what people overlook is just the character thing. Some people, when they break up, it's just black and white. There's no gray area. I'm out. And that's how they do most things in their life. I've heard clients before where they're like, she said, look, she's done. And when she's done, she's done. The way people define things are different. And so sometimes people, when they're in a breakup, will also, what they'll do is they will look for answers outside of dealing with the individual and how they are personality and character wise. So you can go on, 15 YouTube videos, you can go on my live stream, you can come up with all kinds of different answers about no contact. But what's going to make the difference is who are you dealing with and what's happened in the relationship. And that's where you book a session, right? You book a session and then we talk about it. And then when we talk about it, you can get a little bit more clarity. But the reality of like, oh, you can get 10 people, oh, they come back after 6 months. But if you've got someone that's extremely stubborn, or they have a reason, like, I don't know, they're seeing someone else and they've been seeing them for 6 months and they're madly in love, there's more likely a chance that that person doesn't come back. So what people do is they ask these questions and they make them open-ended and broad. They leave the details out, and so they can't get an accurate answer. Does that make sense? It's like just like in this live stream, Tommy Boy asked a short-winded question that lacks some details, and then afterwards he's like, you know what? I'd like to go through this in a coaching session or air it out. I'd like to email you, talk a little bit more about it. Good, because the only way you're going to get a good answer to your problems is to give more details. If someone gives you a direct answer out of a big problem like that, they're just pulling a rabbit out of a hat. All right, let's check out this one. I want to reach out 10 days after a breakup, no contact to her. Your thoughts? Let me pull this up so you guys can see. And this is why I really believe in you writing out your question or your story in a lot of detail, because your perspective counts. Not that it's right or wrong, but it shows where you're coming from. What you're getting wrong a lot of times is their perspective and the idea that you can predict an outcome without at least looking at both perspectives, but also getting a non-biased perspective like myself. Does that make sense? I've been doing this a long time. All right. So I'll check the email at the end of the live stream, Tommy Boy. Thank you. Um, it's been 10 si it's been okay, wanna reach out 10 days after a breakup, no contact to her, your thoughts. So here's the thing, right off the bat, someone says this, there's no given like, oh, in 10 days after a breakup that you just go no contact or don't. What's the situation? What's the details of the breakup? And that will decide if you reach out or don't reach out. So let's get into this. It's been 10 days since the breakup. She has not contacted me once since, as I haven't contacted her either. We didn't agree to go no contact. I just don't want to feel desperate and reach out and want to see if she would first. See, that's just convoluted. I got to read that again. It's been 10 days since the breakup. She has not contacted me once. I haven't contacted her either. We didn't agree to go no contact. I just don't want to feel desperate and reach out and want to see if she would first. So you're playing a little hide and go seek. I did send her a letter, which I believe she got on day 7, but she hasn't reached out and said anything in regard to that either. So that, if I was in this coaching session, I'd say, well, let me see the letter and what were your reasons for breaking up? This is what's being left out. She has finally deleted all our posts together, but hasn't removed me off social media or blocked me. That's a big step to remove all your posts. You still haven't mentioned the reason why she broke up with you or the reasons. She left me right after we took a vacation out of country for our 2-year anniversary. She wrote me a letter for our anniversary talking about how she feels so lucky to have found her soulmate so early in life. How she can't wait to show our kids our pictures to show them how cool we are and how she'll love me forever and can't wait for many more years together. So this is a classic example. She's 23 years old. That's sweet. That's kind. I'd like to believe that. But the reality is, a lot of times people in their 20s, it's not going to be the last person they're ever with. Also, people in their 20s are more impulsive and they're more selfish. Okay. Not all, but a lot. They tend to change their mind more than someone 33, 34. It's just how it is. She broke up with me not even a week after writing that letter. So it's just been tough for me to wrap my head around it all. Okay, so what was the reason? During the breakup, she explained that she felt like she needed to be alone and find herself. She felt like I deserve someone better for me, and other things such as she feels anxious around me sometimes and she doesn't know if she can see a future with me, even when she was saying all those things in a letter just before. All right, so this is some good context. Okay. She's uncomfortable. She's questioning the breakup. Okay. She's questioning it and makes her feel guilty. This is actually very common with someone in their 20s because they're looking at other people having fun. There's more people their age group that are single. So think about it like this: when you're in your mid to early 20s, maybe even late 20s, there's just more candidates to hook up with. The older you get, the less there are, because let's say you're 45. You're going to have that 25 to 20 range. Yeah, you can hook up, but it's almost eliminated. Also, when you're 45, there's more people married or nested with someone. So there's just less options. Or when you're 23, it's wide open. It doesn't mean that, she gets around or she's for the streets or anything, but she's questioning the relationship more than if she was 33 and settled in with a career and all that. Okay. Why I'm telling you this is because it's not one of those things like, what's her problem? The fact that she saw you as a soulmate one week and a week later was up for a breakup out of guilty feelings, it sounds like. What I would say is give her the breakup. Don't contact her to let her feel what it's like to be without you. Because right now she needs to feel what it's like. She's told me she doesn't regret a thing or any time we spent together. I just don't get it. If she says all this, why did she leave me? Why does it seem that she's moving on so easily? I don't know. We haven't talked, and I'm over her rotting away crying about how I miss her. And honestly, I think I'm depressed now. I've never been this type of person like this. Well, I mean, it's your first heartbreak, and your first heartbreak is going to hit you like a ton of bricks. Okay. So if you need to cry, do it in private or do it around people that have empathy for you. That's one thing. So if you have a job, go to your car or, talk to a friend. Crying's not a bad thing. It actually releases a lot of feelings. The idea that you're feeling depressed, that can be something that's not a lifetime sentence. It's just a moment. She pursued she pursued me first, stole my heart, and ripped it in half. That's a perspective. I didn't even know it was possible to love this way until I met her. I just don't understand why she left so instantly without telling me all these things before and trying to work through it. We really did have the best relationship. She told me I was perfect to her. Her family loved me. I loved everything she loved. We were really different personality-wise, honestly. But that's just another thing I loved about her. I couldn't be with someone so similar to me. So what I'm wondering is if I should reach out myself. I just want to text and ask how she's been doing after these 10 days. Any thoughts on what I should do, please? Yeah, in this particular case, she broke up with you. She had her reasons. Things were really good. Leave her be. If you said at the end, "Hey, I want to make this work. Hey, I think we're really good." You said just let her sit on that. Let her feel the breakup. Let her get what she wanted. What happens is she built a case for the breakup, and right now if you try to talk her out of it, she's probably going to have her arm up and she's going to defend that. If you say, "Look, I understand," and leave it be, and now it's been 10 days. Now she's got to deal with the fact that maybe you're not an option anymore. Scarcity is attractive and you're more valuable than ever before. So what I would say, usually about the 3 to 4 week mark is the toughest time for a no contact situation, even 2 weeks. But the 3 week to 4 week, if she misses you, she had those feelings a week prior to breaking up, no contact is more likely to work for you rather than when you have relationships where they're 4 or 5 years and things haven't been good for a while. If things haven't been good for a while, then no contact's you just starting to get through it and get to the next hump in your life, right? But if it's been really good right before you broke up, that person just impulsively broke up over some kind of feeling or thought, that's when they're probably going to come to their senses and give you a call and check in. Otherwise, there's something to the story that I'm not seeing. Any thoughts on what I should do, please? It's been so hard without her, and honestly gets harder every day. She was everything I wanted and more, and I cannot imagine a life without her. Sometimes I wish she did do something for me to resent her because this would be a lot easier. Should I reach out? No, you've asked that twice. And what I would do with someone like this is I would say, look, what you want to do is just shoot for a month or 3 weeks and take it day by day. So what you're doing right, should I reach out? Should I reach out? No. She broke up with you. She had her reasons. Let me just try to get to 3 weeks. Let me just try to get to a month, and then I'll reassess if I want to reach out. Doesn't mean that it's going to work in 3 weeks or 4 weeks. Just means you need to stick to that for now. Because it's what happens is now she's got to deal with the fact that you're no longer available. The minute you reach out, it's like, oh, I broke up with you, but if I want to get back with you, I can. So I can test out being single, but at the same time, wean myself off the relationship. What you want to do is go, hey, look, this is what it's like to be without me. And trust me, she misses you too. All right, we still got 4 on deck. Like I said, if anyone's got a comment or a situation that you want me to touch on, let me know. I'm going to do another Reddit post here. Let's just look at the comments. During the breakup, she explained that she felt like she needed to be more alone and find herself. She felt like I deserved someone better for me. Another thing, such as she feels anxious around me sometimes that she doesn't know. You shouldn't reach out after this, says Murky. If you don't figure this out, there may be a Nobel Prize in it for you. People don't always make sense. Let's go to another one here. All right, well, here's a different situation. My ex and I broke up. Respond to an ex or remain in no contact? Great question. Is it that simple? No, because individuals are involved in these situations. Let's take a look. Respond to an ex or remain in no contact. My ex and I broke up 2 weeks ago. She texted me this 2 days after the breakup. Hey, I just wanted to reach out and check in. I still care about you and want to see how you're doing. Okay. No pressure to respond, but I'm here. So it's very vague. It's a feeler type statement. It's also a statement that says, I've been thinking of you, but I want to make it like I'm doing you a favor. The text seems to me like she just was looking for validation and to feel better about her decision. Sounds like the same to me, but I would ask you some questions about her character or personality first, and then why did you break up in the first place? However, my friend said she's ran into her a few times and she was crying and said she felt terrible. So I asked how I'm doing, and it seems like she wants to keep some form of connection between us. She likes my posts within 10 minutes and has been one of the first people to view my Snap story. She also has kept our TikToks up together on her profile. Meanwhile, I've stopped viewing her social media entirely and cut contact. Well, good for you. Well, the bottom line is she's being passive aggressive and she's trying to act like she's doing you a favor. It sounds like she's got a lot of pride here. If she's following all those things, I think you're right. And the fact of just staying in no contact. The reason we broke up is I invested too much of myself into the relationship too fast. In a way, smothered it. She said she lost attraction to me and couldn't match my feelings. And I think this was because I became too available and reliant on her happiness. So this is a great example. Let me know if you guys can read this too. This is a great example of no contact fitting the situation perfectly. You've been smothering, you've been showing too much attention, and that's one of the reasons why she broke up. So no contact's going to create the opposite. And then she's got to think to herself, is this what I want? Go from a hot day to a freezing day? She probably wants to be somewhere in the middle, right? So you've just proven to her, I don't need to be smothering you. Since the breakup, I've completely changed my daily routine to getting more sleep, working out, and finding new hobbies. I already feel so much better, but I'm not sure if I should respond to her message. You can respond or not respond. If you do respond, just be neutral and curt and know your intentions. Do you even want to get back with her? Would be my question. It sounds like you're doing really well right now. So I mean, it doesn't even sound like do you want her back? I want to give her space. She clearly wanted that with the breakup, and that'll help me continue to work on myself while she can simultaneously reflect on the relationship more. That might be a response. Hey, just wanted to give you the space that you asked for. And I'm also working on myself, which I'm doing really well with. She made it clear she cares about me a lot, and I know I can reestablish that attraction, but when? I don't want her to think I'm ignoring her because I resent her. That's not the case. So the other thing that you can do here is rather than answer the question in the context it is in, hey, I just want to reach out and check in. I still care about you. Want to see if you're doing okay. And if this is true, I'm good. Maybe hey, did you want to get dinner sometime? If you want to get back together and reestablish something. If she's like, no, I don't think it's a good idea. I'm doing really great. I'm so happy. Then you just say, okay, period. And you leave it alone. What you would do there is you just establish that, hey, I do want to get back together. Hey, I do want to date again. But if you say no, I'm also okay. There's a lot of power in that because she's used to you smothering her or calling her up. She made it clear she cares about me a lot, and I know I can reestablish that attraction. I'm trying to give us both time and space, but I also don't know if she'll ever reach out again if I don't say something. If she did reach out again, that would put my mind more at ease to talk to her. But I feel if I respond now and reach out, that she will continue to see me as needy and won't be able to rekindle our connection down the line. What do you all think? Let's see what other people said. She misses the comfort you brought in the relationship, but is no longer attracted to you romantically. Right now, she's looking to tap into the comfort source and relieve herself of guilt. A lot of guys will misinterpret this action as being regret and an opportunity to win back my lady. You seem to grasp that certainly is too soon for any of that. Reach out too soon. You only confirm that you are a needy guy and she's no longer attracted to you, while at the same time providing a comfort crutch until she finds a guy not only provides the comfort but also the spark. Right? That's good advice. All right. We got 5 on deck. Tommy Boy, Sabina, it's been good. It's been grand. I really appreciate it. Unknown popped their head in the door with the famous 1111. Uh, Miguel Coronado, it's about school. You're welcome, Sabina. I appreciate you. All right, go to writemac.com if you'd like to book a session. All sessions are refundable if you don't find them useful or helpful moving forward. That's my confidence and stamp on it. If you have a topic and you want me to touch base on it, yes, Sabina, I'll be back on deck tomorrow again. If there's a topic you want me to touch base on or any recommendations, you can email me at coachmacmccarthy@gmail.com or go to writemac.com. Otherwise, it's curtains.